Hey there, all you cool cats and kittens. This is Mrs. Fry bringing you your daily math video. Today's math lesson is about polynomial operations. We're going to be learning about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing polynomials. The first two examples I have on this page are just for adding polynomials. When you add a polynomial, you can only add the like terms together. Like terms would be any term that has the same exact variable to the same exact degree. So, for example, let me change that to yellow, like the x squareds, 3x squared and 6x squared would be considered like terms because they both have the x squareds. So then I can add those together. You would add the 3 and the 6 to make that 9, and then the x squared just stays the same, so it's 9x squared. Then I also would have to add, change it to blue, the x's. 5x and 4x can be added together because they both have x's. So 5x plus 4x would be 9x. So you just put plus 9x. And then finally just add those constants at the end. The 3 and the 2 would be 5. 3 plus 2 is 5. So the answer would be 9x squared plus 9x plus 5. Let's take a look at another example. Do the same exact thing. Make sure you're only adding the like terms. And while we're at it, I also want to write my answer in standard form, which means we should put the highest degree monomial first and then work our way down to the smallest. So let's see here. I've got 8x to the 4th minus 4x to the 3rd plus 10x to the 5th minus 3x squared plus 11. The first thing I notice is that I don't have any like terms, which means basically all I need to do here is just write this in standard form. Starting out with the highest degree monomial, that would be 10x to the 5th goes first because the 5 is the biggest degree. So I'll put 10x to the 5th. Then the next one would be 8x to the 4th. So we're just working our way down. Then minus 4x to the 3rd. Then minus 3x squared plus 11. So I can't actually add any of these together because none of those are like terms. That would be your final answer. Now let's do a subtraction problem. When you're subtracting polynomials, you follow the same rules and guidelines as you would for adding, meaning you can only subtract like terms. And I want to make sure that I'm subtracting everything in this second polynomial. It's almost like you're distributing this negative sign. Oops. So you can draw some arrows to show that we are subtracting everything there. That way we don't accidentally not subtract something. The arrows help me to remember to subtract. Okay, so first off, I've got 14x squared minus 7x squared. 14 minus 7 is 7, so I can put 7x squared. Now let's switch colors. Let's do yellow. Then I can do 13x minus 20x. 13 minus 20 would be negative 7x. Then finally, I have 12 minus 4, so then I can put plus 8. Plus 8. And that's your answer. For the next problem, I'll start out the same way. Let me scroll this down a little bit. We would just want to draw some arrows here to remind us that we are subtracting everything in that second polynomial. Then, let's go ahead and highlight our first pair of like terms, negative 12x squared minus 11x squared. Negative 12 minus 11 would be negative 23. So put negative 23x squared. Then let's switch colors again. Let's do blue. Then we've got 4x minus 3x. 4 minus 3 would make that plus 1x. I can just put plus x. And then finally, negative 12, let's go ahead and do a color for that one, pink. Negative 12 minus negative 10. Let's write that out because that one's kind of tricky. Negative 12 minus negative 10. That's really like negative 12 plus 10, which is 2. So the answer for that last part would be it's minus 2. Minus 2. Okay, so negative 23x squared plus x minus 2. The subtraction problems are a little tricky just because of that distributing the negative sign. Okay, so be careful with those signs. Next up, multiplying monomials. When you're multiplying monomials, you just want to multiply the big numbers, and then we'll apply the laws of exponents for the exponents. Meaning if you're multiplying like x times x to the third, you would just add the exponents. So multiply the big numbers. 3 times 5, that would be 15. And then add the exponents. This x technically has a 1 here, so that would be like 1 plus 3, so that makes this x to the fourth, 15x to the fourth. That one's pretty simple. Same for the next one. Multiply the big numbers, which would be negative 12 times negative 4, that's positive 48. And then add the exponents, x squared times x to the first, that would be like 2 plus 1, so x to the third, 48x to the third. Now there's another type of multiplying where you'll have to use the distributive property. Okay, so that's where I like to draw the arrows, like 3x times x, then 3x times 4. So what you're doing is you're going to multiply the number that's in front of the parentheses times each thing inside of the parentheses. So 3x times x would be 3x squared, and then 3x times 4 would be 12x. That makes the answer 3x squared plus 12x. And then for the next one, we have 3 terms inside the parentheses, so that means we have to multiply 3 times. Negative 2x squared times 4x squared. Remember to think about those laws of exponents. We're going to add those exponents together. Multiply the big numbers, add the exponents. So that makes this negative 8x to the fourth. And then we have negative 2x squared times negative 3x, which would be plus a negative times a negative is a positive, so plus 6x to the third. And then finally, negative 2x squared times 5 would be negative 10x squared. And that's your final answer. It's already written in standard form. The last thing we need to talk about for operations with polynomials would be division. Now we're just going to be dividing by a single number today because I will teach you how to divide by a binomial in a future lesson. So as you can see, we're just going to divide by one number, negative 21x plus 7 divided by 7. The best way to work out this problem is just split it up into 2 parts like this. I would take negative 21x over 7, and then I would also split up the second half, 7 over 7. I'll put plus 7 over 7. And then you can divide each of those parts. So negative 21x over 7, that's negative 3x, because negative 21 divided by 7 is negative 3. Then we have 7 over 7, that's 1, so I just put plus 1. Negative 3x plus 1 would be the answer for that one. And then finally for this last one, same thing, just split it up into 3 different parts because I have 3 terms on the top. So each part gets divided by that 2. It'll look like this, 16x to the fourth over 2 plus 8x squared over 2 plus 4 over 2. Okay, so basically you just have to divide each part and we're done. 16 divided by 2, that makes this 8x to the fourth. Whoa. 8x to the fourth. And then 8 divided by 2, that would make that plus 4x squared. And then 4 divided by 2, that would make that plus 2. And that's it, 8x to the fourth plus 4x squared plus 2 would be your final answer. Today's homework assignment has one of each type. Okay, we've got adding, subtracting, multiply monomial, multiply by a polynomial, and then division. And then I want you to text me your answers on Remind. I feel like that's the easiest way for you guys to send me your work. If you have any other work that you need to send me, just text that through on Remind as well. Hope you have a great day. Bye.